Hi there and welcome back. The next of these Settlor title application instructional videos is going to be on the finals work queue and creating a final policy. So from your Settlor desktop, you're going to navigate to the finals queue. Now for this application, there's no populated data at the time, so I am going to jump over to the land title finals work queue. And here we are at the land title finals work queue. You'll see that the queue is set up very similarly to the title work queue. The functionality is all the same though. Down at the bottom we have the ability to filter the queue, and we have the ability to create public and personal profiles. So to find my file, I'm simply going to use this search field. When I find my file, all I have to do is click on the order number. And remember, as soon as I do that, it checks this order out to me so that nobody else can work on it. Checking a file out from the finals work queue brings me to the policy dashboard. Let's take a look. If we wanted to start on our own dashboard, we could get to the order dashboard for this file. Then hover over the order number at the top, come down and click the policies dashboard. So I'm going to show how we create an actual policy from the commitment. Then we'll go in and look at creating a pro forma. The general use of the dashboard though is very similar to how we were using the commitment dashboard, so it shouldn't be a whole lot of new stuff. Let's take a look though. Here we can place the order. We cannot cancel the order, cannot enable overlimit, those are available elsewhere. Edit policy exceptions. We can create a new owner product right here on the policy dashboard. We can create a new loan product right here. We can post release tracking. We can send this order to quality control. And if we've made some changes, we can refresh the dashboard. Let's just take a quick look. Creating the policy from a dashboard. Right now on the screen, I've got the order details, the services that we charged for, the contact information for the policy, and then the vesting deeds. Also at the bottom of the page is the place where we see the requirements from the commitment, and if closing has used their feature to mark satisfaction of requirements, then those will show up here as being satisfied. For our purposes in this training file, we're just going to ignore that field. So back at the top of the screen, I'm going to use the create policy from commitment. Now on the commitment itself, the lender code that we use for delivery is the loan officer. And typically when we are sending out the loan policy to the lender, we're sending it to a totally different department. So we are going to enter a different customer ID for the policy delivery. First, I'm going to click create policy from commitment. Here's where I will enter the customer ID for that lender policy delivery. Then if I know this is FHA, VA, or conventional, I will choose that here as well. If MERS is on the deed of trust, I will select that here and it will add the code throughout the policy. When I click save, it takes me back to the policy dashboard, and this time I have my two policies over on the left. Now let's take a look down there and see what those show us. So here's our first Alta Owners policy. We create our own policy numbers for land title and for ORT. If we were using Chicago title as the underwriter, we would have used one of our stored policy ID numbers. The policy ID numbers are part of an admin screen. We can take a look at that. Remember, it will look slightly different in the Settlor application. Down under underwriters, I'm going to type in Chicago, pull up Chicago, and this is where we store the policy numbers that Chicago has given us to use and identify what product they will be used with. Let's go back to our policy dashboard. Here we have our distribution. Down here we have our owner's policy. And below that, all of the schedules for it, and then we get to the loan policy. and this policy address is what we entered at that first screen. I've always been told that when editing the exceptions for a policy, that it's often better to start with the loan policy. So here we go at the loan policy. First thing I'm going to do is put in the policy date. That was just recorded, so I'll put today in. Then we're going to scroll back up to the top of the policy area, and we're going to go to the exceptions page. Let's take a quick look at what we're going to be adding here. Again, for any of the fill-ins that I'm going to use, I have the documents open on my other screen. So the first thing we're going to do is add our insured deed of trust. I'm going to click Add Exception, and then I'm going to use the code for a deed of trust. And I'm going to fill in all of the information from the actual document. When I get that added in, before I click Save Changes, I'm going to look over here and let's take a look at what we can also do. So besides adding this on the loan policy, I can tell the system to also add this to Schedule B of the owner's policy. And I'm setting it as a permanent link, meaning if I make any changes in one, those are reflected in the other. Now I'm going to save changes. Up in Schedule A here, I might also add additional exceptions if there was a dispersor's notice or an assignment of rents or any other reference document. I would add a code. Then down in Schedule B1, I'm going to add our tax clause. For the loan policy, we're going to add that clause at the top of the exceptions. Then I can also add this to Schedule B of the owner's policy as well. So you see, we're talking about 2022 taxes and assessments not yet due and payable. And of course, because we looked at the commitment to see what we committed to do in the policy, we're also deleting the standard exceptions from the loan policy. So I'm going to add that note here. And that goes at the bottom of the exceptions. Now, because we started with the loan policy and told the program to add those exceptions to the owner policy, we should just be able to jump up to the owner policy and confirm everything is correct. I'm going to go up further here. There we go. So here's our tax clause. Here's the deed of trust that we are insuring in the loan policy. So everything copied as we needed. Now we can return to the dashboard. Then back up in the owner's policy, we do still need to add the date. We're able to preview the policies before delivering them. This is just the standard cover pages, policy jacket. Now we get to Schedule A and Schedule B. That was the owner policy. If we go down to the loan policy, we can also preview that. The policy delivery is going to look just a little bit different. We will have to deliver each policy individually, understanding that they're going to different places. So I come to the delivery button for the owner's policy. This screen is just telling me it's out of balance, and that's because there's no closing side to this order. This is for the buyer. And so I select that. Come down and I'm going to post a delivery step when I send this delivery. And again, I don't want to actually send it there. I'm going to choose mine. This way, when we get down to the tracking steps, we'll be able to see that each was delivered. Now the loan policy. And post a delivery step. Posting a delivery step on delivery also creates the invoice for the policy. And you can see what components are being sent with it. Now down in the history field, we see that the policies have been delivered. I did want to touch on the owner's policy can be set as a pro forma, and that would be going through the same process, create policy from commitment, then coming to the owner's product, and there's a flag down here that says pro forma. What that does, when I preview the policy, we see the pro forma watermark stamped across the pages. To turn it into a real policy instead of a pro forma, and notice it shows it on the desktop here as well, I would simply come in and take that flag off. So there we have the basics of the policy creation.